Good morning, welcome to this morning's little episode. I like to have an episode of Uber Grace, where the grace is Uberlicious, as we know. Wanted to talk a little bit about how, for years and years and years, I used to work with care kids and with a team, looking after kids that were really difficult to look after, full of anxiety and fear, and just in a state because of what life had brought to them, what life had done to them. And one of the things that, when I first moved up to the Yorkshire coast to join this company, they had this little sort of motto thing where they talked about unconditional positive regard. And obviously that's what it says. You will see them, regard them, you will see them in a positive light, unconditionally. And what we used to find, we used to have these kids come in and they're surrounded and met by all these happy, friendly, cheery carers who wants to be your best mate now. And they were absolutely terrified, and the behaviours that would come out were just out of anxiety and fear, and just what a state to be in, having to be looked after by a team of people who are paid for it. And so you can imagine some of the behaviours. And over time, we would just constantly, as a team, would get it wrong and we'd get it right. But as a team, we sought all the time to just see those children, no matter what they did, no matter what they threw at us, out of the horror that was inside of them, whatever they threw at us, we just had to see them, and we continue to see them in a completely positive light all the time. And after a while, for some of them weeks, rarely, usually months and months of having people around them, constantly seeing them, no matter what they did. And yes, we'd deal with it, and there'd be like little mini punishment things, although you couldn't call it punishment. But you had all these things we had to do and put in place. And I'll talk about that in the next video, actually. But what you used to find is actually once they started to realise that no matter what happened, they weren't really being related to on the basis of their behaviour. They were being related to because we always saw them in a positive light. Next day was a new day. In fact, we had one teenage girl who was absolutely mint. And one day she was in the office screaming at us, going, "Give up on me! Stop believing in me!" She was brilliant. But this is the effect it had on her, at least, that we just, no matter what they did, what scrapes they got into, what they called us and threw at us, once we dusted ourselves down and got over it, we would just see them as if it had never happened before. And when they started to relate to us, not on the basis of their behaviour, but on the basis of our attitude to them, they started to change. They started to settle down. And that doesn't mean they became perfect model citizens and they got everything right from there on, but the whole dynamic completely changed. Why am I telling you about my old job? Well, you can probably guess where this is going, but so many of us still view God as someone who is dealing with us according to our behaviour, our beliefs, our feelings, and how that makes us behave. And actually he doesn't. He just sees us totally with positive, unconditional regard. That's all he ever does towards us. He loves us. His love is pure. His love is ongoing. His love wins. And this is how, when you stop relating to him on the basis of your behaviour, whether good or bad, whether trying your best to earn his love, or whether just screwing things up and just never being able to get it right, when you start to relate to your Father in heaven in a way that the behaviour is nothing to do with it, you just accept, no matter why he does it, he just does. He just adores you. He loves you with all his heart. And you can imagine the heart of God's pretty big. So he loves you with all that he is. And he is pretty big. Actually, that changes how you are, how secure you become. That changes your behaviour rather than the other way around. And that, my friends, is awesome. And if a group of young people in their 20s and 30s and 40s can get together and on a team approach these young people who are like cornered animals at times, the way they spring back out at you. If they can do it, then how much more will your Heavenly Father give you that you need? That love, that peace, that security. I hope you have a really, really great day. Cheers.